name is Clement Pepe. I'm a success coach. I want to share with you today some tips, if you will, about sales. It's what I call a three-step sales process. Now, I've been in sales for I don't know how long. I started in a major insurance company I spent 21 years with them, and then I've been in this business doing the coaching for about 28 years, a little over 28 years actually. So it's been almost 50 years I've been in and around coaching. I started when I was age 0, I think, or something. But so I wanted to share with you some tips and a process, if you will. I think that everything should be a process rather than we just wing it and whatnot. So we're going to do this process in 3 steps. And in order for you to get the most out of this video and any other video that I might do, there's 3 things I need you to do. And basically, it's something that's going to help you to get the most out of this work. The first is that a lot of times when people listen to someone, they may listen from a place called I agree or I disagree, based on what they've heard, what they've thought, what they've learned over the years. What I'm going to ask you to do when we're here together over this next however long we're going to be together, is I want you to listen from not I agree, listen though from a place of possibility. Meaning, what's possible out of what I'm hearing here? Then, step number 2, I'm going to ask you to go out and try this stuff on. See if it fits. Wear it for a while. If it doesn't fit, you can bring it back. No questions asked. The third thing I'm going to ask you to do is practice it for at least 30 days. So if you're in sales or a small business owner, or even just someone who is going to be out there enrolling people in something, then I want you to do these 3 steps. So listen from that place of possibility rather than I agree or I disagree. Go out, try it on, see if it fits, wear it for a while, and then do it for the next 30 days. So does everybody agree by a show of hands to do that? Now, I can't see you, but I'm going to see that you could. And if you do that wave thing, that might help me too. So this is a good way, again, to really cement this work that we're doing. Okay, so first of all, before we start the process, I want to define a word. I think it's very important for all of us to really know the words that we're speaking. A lot of times we may be talking about a word, yet one of us may have a different definition or interpretation of that word than another. So in this case, I want you to use the word sales and enrollment as the same definition, because sales and enrollment is really the same definition. And so the definition that we're going to use, and again, I want you to try this on, see if it fits, work well, is the definition we're going to use for sales and enrollment is having someone do something for their highest good. So having someone do something for their highest good. Not your highest good, their highest good. Okay, so that's going to be what we're going to utilize as the definition as we go through sales and enrollment. Having someone do something for their highest good. All right, so let's get into the 3-step sales process. And by the way, I recommend you take notes that we're going to talk. I'm going to talk this pretty quickly. You know, this is stuff I teach my clients that takes quite a while to do this teaching. So in the video, I don't have that kind of time. I probably won't hold you that long anyhow. So we're going to do this quickly probably, but I want you to take notes. In fact, if you're going anywhere to listen to anyone that you feel is going to be valuable for you, take notes. They say that you can, if you just listen to something, you'll retain maybe 5–10% of it maybe. But when you're basically taking notes, it enhances that percentage of what you retain tremendously. So I recommend taking notes so you can review them and use this work over and over again. Not for only as long as you're listening to this, but really for the rest of your life, because these tools are there to help you for the rest of your life. So step number 1 in our 3-step sales enrollment process. Step number 1 is that before you do anything in regards to the activity you're going to take in relating to enrolling someone or selling someone. Before you take any action, let's say you're going to call somebody to have a phone appointment. Before you get on that phone, I want you to come from a place called 100% intention, meaning I'm going to make this appointment happen. I don't know necessarily what that's going to look like. I don't really even care what it's going to look like. All I know for sure is I'm making this happen. And that's 100% intention. Not like I'll try, I hope, or no kind of intention whatsoever, just picking up the phone thinking, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But no, before you get on that phone, you have to declare to yourself what you're going to create at the end of that phone call, if it's a phone call. If you're at a meeting, what you're going to declare at the end of that meeting that you're going to declare that you're going to create. And a great way to really put yourself into that place is to tell yourself this statement and write this down, because again, I want you to practice this over and over again. And the statement that you want to tell yourself to get yourself into that place called 100% intention is, I don't know what it will look like, but I'll ... So I don't know what it will look like, but I'll ... Now the ... is whatever it is you're 100% intentional to create. Okay, in this case, we're talking about setting an appointment on the phone. So your statement to yourself, and this is the declaration, this is where you're operating from. This is your way of being, if you will. Not what you're going to do, your way of being. And your way of being is much more important than what you do. Because that's why they call us human beings, by the way, instead of human doings. Because our way of being, or what we declare to ourselves, is much more important. Because out of that way of being, we'll do consistent with it. So your way of being needs to be, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't really care what it's going to look like. All I know, I'm going to make this appointment. And so now you're ready to take step number 2. But you first have to really cement yourself into step number 1. If you have to say it out loud to yourself before you make the call, if you have to write it down, you get yourself set to be on that call, utilizing 100% intention of what you're going to create, the ... if you will. Now, step number 2 is you've got to help this person see the value in what it is that you're going to be asking them to do. That's why people do things, is because they see value in it. You know, if you're watching this video, you probably see value in it. If you're going to like it on the bottom or wherever you like these things, then it's because you saw value in it. If you didn't see value in it, then you might not be here. Or if you didn't see value in it, you might not put the like and whatever. And it isn't that there's not value, but your value is the most important. It's the same with the person that you're going to be talking to. I don't know if you've ever heard the radio station that everybody on this planet, anyhow, is tuned to. WIIFM. We're all tuned to that station. WIIFM. And what that stands for, basically, you're having a little technical thing going on here, so stay with me. And that's why everybody's tuned to that station. What's in it for me? So you need to find out from this prospect or the person you're going to be talking to, what is the value for them? And the best way to find out anything from anyone is to ask a lot of questions. When you're asking questions, you're going to be able to know what their value is. And then when you're making those, in fact, when you're asking questions, again, take notes. You know, you can't OD on notes because they're telling you what it is that's important to them that you're going to be able to help them solve, if you will. And so you take notes. And when you're getting the value from a person, don't just take it from a level of what they said. You know, if you ask them, well, if you're in real estate, we'll say, and you, why do you want to buy a house? Oh, well, because I like the investment. And then you just go, okay, I like the investment. No, get deeper with that. Well, what do you mean you like the investment? What's the purpose? Well, I want to be able to have savings. I don't have many savings. And so savings are important to me. So I'd like, oh, really? And what would that mean? Well, at one point, I want to retire. I want to maybe, help my kids out and so on. And you're giving all this information and you're taking all these notes. So you're helping them get deeper than just a surface conversation. You're getting them to experience helping the kids. They're getting to experience that, having the investment and all the other things that they told you see. And then step number 3 is once you've gotten that value, you're going to do your presentation relating to what you asked them to do, and then you're going to then ask them to take action. So what I mean by your presentation, so you may have, we list the house, and we just use the real estate analogy. It could be any business, by the way. But we list the house, and what we do is with that, we have the process that the company does. And what that means to you is it helps you to get to that goal a lot faster of your income and so on and so forth. So you're bringing that value back to them specifically, what they said. A lot of times we kind of shotgun value. It's like, well, it'd be great to, not have to rent. Well, if that's not a person's value, then we're going to lose them, and one person's value doesn't necessarily mean it's the next person's same value. So we have to extract from them what that value is in order to be able to help them receive that value. And then the next step is you're going to ask them to take action. But you need to make sure that they are in that value place before you ask them to take action. Interesting. There's 2 places that a person can make choices from. One of them is the value, and the other one is circumstances. Now, circumstances are things like time, money, fear, doubt, procrastination, avoidance, not knowing how they're going to do it. There's a lot of things that are called circumstances. And circumstances, a lot of times, stops people from doing what it is that they said that they wanted to do. And in fact, it's interesting. So let's say this pen is a seesaw. They used to call that way back when, I think, a teeter-totter or whatever like that. But I come from the East Coast, so if we ever use the word teeter-totter, we'd be fighting everybody. So we're going to call this a seesaw. And so with this seesaw, let's pretend that the circumstances that we talked about are on this side of the seesaw. Circumstances, again, being time, money, fear, doubt, worry, procrastination, avoidance, the past, mistrust, you name it. Those are a part of a person's choice process, if you will. And then let's say this part of the seesaw is their goals, their values, their commitments. All right. So when, like a seesaw, when this side is up, the circumstances, guess what's down? The value. If you ask them to take action at this point in time, they're not going to do it. No way. You could give them a house and they probably wouldn't do it. So your job is to help them get the value up, which is this side. Now, when the value is up, notice what's down. Circumstances. That's when you want to ask them to take action, you see. But if it's the other way around, no way they're going to take action. So I kid salespeople about this all the time. Is let's say you just did a job for somebody, no matter what you're doing, and they said to you, "Oh my God, you're about the worst salesperson I've ever seen. I can't believe it. Do you really have a license for this? This is crazy. What are you doing? I mean, man, alive. I'm lucky I'm still alive. You're so bad." Well, that may not be a real good time for you to ask that person for a referral, would you say? But let's say they said to you, "Wow, you are the best, man. This is the greatest thing I could ever be seeing. Wow, I can't believe you pulled that off. This is fantastic." That's a great time to ask them for a referral. So the idea is really having them make sure that the value is up when you're asking them to do what you're asking to do. And I'll give you an example, a little story about myself here. I'll talk about myself. I love this part. No, but about 24 plus years ago now, I used to live in a condominium along with my wife, about 30 minutes away from here, right? And I lived in that condominium for quite a while. And so I was ready to sell it and move down to the area that I live in now and wanted to buy a home. This was a condominium or a townhouse. I never did know the difference between those things. But I had a realtor and the realtor just so happened to be a client of mine. And so she was helping me to sell the condo. And so, but what happened, I've been buying and selling real estate, my own personal stuff, probably since 1971 was the first house I ever bought. And every time I bought or sold a home, at escrow, I picked up a check. A nice little process there. But when I was going to sell this condo, it wasn't going to happen that way. I was going to end up owing $20,000. And $20,000 back 25 years ago, again, I still have money, but still back then it was even more so. And so I was like riveted about, whoa, this is crazy, man. I can't be doing $20,000. Oh man, this is crazy. The realtor though never, ever, ever entertained my conversation about the $20,000. She always kept me in the value conversations. We ask questions like, well, what's it going to be like to have your own home instead of a condo? Oh man, it's going to be great. It's going to be, I'll be able to have more yard. I'll be able to, not have to worry about the TV too loud. I'm bothering people, whatever. And what's it going to be like to drive, not 5 minutes rather than a half hour to get to where you want? Oh man, that's going to be fantastic. Again, so she kept on increasing the value this side. And I was ready for her to start talking about this 20,000 because I had all the arguments ready, all the other aspects. She never mentioned it. And that's the interesting thing too. If you have people who have circumstances, don't stay with them in their circumstances because what that'll do, it'll drive up those circumstances. So you have to get them again to see the value just as she did. And just kept me in that conversation, kept me experiencing what it was going to be like, etc. And sure enough, I ended up selling the condo, buying down here, and it's been now almost 25 years that I've been here, and best thing I ever could have done in regards to real estate is concerned. But if she would have been in that conversation about the circumstances of that 20,000, I may still be in that condo. Who knows? But that's what I'm talking about with regards to why we've got to get them back in the value and not talking about the circumstances. Like I said, that'll raise the circumstances, working them into seeing and feeling what it is that they want to see and feel. And again, I would say that what you do for a living is not about hurting people out there. It's about helping people. Right? So we have to be able to help people by having a structure to do that. So that's the second part is the value. So when they're up here and you can tell when the way they're being, what their questions are, what their face looks like, how they're talking to you, etc., that you've got them up there. Now it's time. Just take a look here. All right, I think we're okay. So I apologize, technology, but we'll make it happen. So when we have them there in the value, again, what I want you to know is you have to ask them to take action. Don't imagine they're just going to volunteer. Okay, yeah, let's make the appointment. You're going to have to ask them to take action. And how I want you to start asking for whatever it is that you want out there. In this case, it's them to take action. I want you to ask it this way and write this down as I've asked you to write other things down. The question you're going to ask them is, would you be willing to ... Now, the ... that you're going to ask them if they'd be willing to is the same ... that you were 100% intentional before you even picked up the phone or got to the appointment or whatever. In this case, it was to make an appointment, we'll say. So what you're talking to them and you got them in that process of the value, then you want to ask them, so based on that, Mr. Jones, would you be willing to get together so we could go over this a little bit more and get you perhaps to where it is you want to go, or however you want to say that. But the would you be willing to is a very, very important. It's probably one of the most important parts of the process. Because a lot of times what we do is we have people here and then we leave it there. We may say like, yeah, it'd be a good idea if we got together. But that's not asking for what you want. That's really making a statement and hoping they'll grab hold of it. But you need to actually ask, would you be willing to get together for the appointment? Or would you be willing to list the property with my, would you be willing to do the printing job that we're doing? Whatever it is that you're asking. And there's two reasons that I want you to ask it in this way. One is this. When you ask this question, they know exactly what you're asking for. There's no question in their mind, oh, I wonder what he wants me to do. I wonder, Yeah, they know exactly what you're asking for. And most importantly, it's going to remind you to specifically ask. There's a biblical statement that is interesting too. It's we get not because you ask not. And so we have to ask. And asking is actually, would you be willing to do this thing, whatever this thing is that we're going to be asking them to do? Now, what if they say no? Oh my God. What if they say no? By the way, what do you think one of the very first words that we ever learned as a child was when we first started to talk? Was probably no. You went to go outside. No. You went to touch the stove. No. So no, a lot of times is an automatic for us. So if someone says no, then, and by the way, with salespeople, no for them it could be the worst thing that ever happened, because a lot of people leave or have the definition of no meaning rejection. So if they say no, it means I got rejected. Now, I don't know a lot of people that get up in the morning and say to themselves, geez, I really can't wait to get rejected today. So that's probably something we will stay away from. If we've got no means rejection, we're most likely going to stay away from a lot of conversations that could denote a no. So we've got to create a new definition to that word no. And by the way, all the definitions that are going on, we're making them up anyhow. So no, in this case, means one thing. They don't yet see the value. That's all it means. They don't yet, and the underline yet, see the value. That's what no means. And that's why people do things, is because they see value. If they don't, it's because they don't see value, or they have something else that's bigger than the value, their circumstances. So our job then is to get back in touch with their value to help them to say yes, you see. And it's interesting too, because it's been all kinds of studies on sales are amazing. But one of the studies, it says that most people, it takes 3, 4, 5 no's to say yes. And another study that's really important with what we're talking about is usually most salespersons stop after the first or second no. And so that's why they also say that 20% of the salespeople in most organizations are making 80% of the money. And the reason those 20% are making more money and doing more things is because they're willing to go through the valley of the shadow of death, if you will, called no. But the ones that are creating the income and the top of the board in regards to sales, they don't have no mean rejection. They have no mean, they don't yet see the value. So I got to get back in touch with them to see their value. So in this meeting that we just had. So, yeah, no, I don't think I really want to get that. Well, okay, well, I could understand that. And yet what you had said is that you were wanting to have this happen and that happen. And that's really one of the things that we could do when we get together. Maybe see if we could get you to that place. I mean, we don't know, I don't know, you don't know quite yet, but if we do get together, then you have a better opportunity to know that, etc. So, and then you go back to, so based on that, John, would you be willing to get together on Tuesday, or is Wednesday better? So you want to bring it back to, you get them back in touch with the value, because if they said no, again, the circumstances on the seesaw are bigger than the value. That's all that means. So we've got to get back in touch with their value for them, and then ask them again once we've got the value back up here. And you may have to do that a number of times before you get them to actually say yes. But the good news is you're doing this for their highest good. Again, you're not doing it for your highest good. You know, Zig Ziglar once said, he didn't say it to me, but he said it. He said, you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And so that's really what we're doing. And that's why we've got to keep focused on them and what they're up to and what they want to create, and keep asking them to take action on it so they can get out of the way of their circumstances and get the value that they said they wanted to take place. Okay, so let's recap the 3 steps. Number 1, you come from 100% intention before you even take any kind of action. 100% intention is telling yourself, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to make this happen. Not 50% intention, 30% intention, but 100% intention. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm making this happen. Step number 2 is you help them see the value of what it is that you're going to be asking them to do. And again, how you find out a person's value is you have to ask a lot of questions and take a lot of notes and help them get deeper in the experience of what it is that they're saying was important to them. And then step number 3, once you have them in that place of value, seeing that, then you then ask them to take action based on, would you be willing to ... And again, the ... lines up with that 100% intention. And why you're 100% intentional is because it's going to always keep you directed in that place that you set out to go before you even started the process. If you're not 100% intentional, you could go all over the place. You know, they may be talking about this and that, and you'll end up with a conversation at the end of that conversation or appointment, and you wonder, what the heck just happened here? Well, what happened is that you lost sight of what your 100% intention was, which was to make an appointment. And by the way, like everything, these processes, these 3 steps, need to be practiced. This is not something that you're going to do 1, 2, 3 times and then stop it. It needs to be practiced. But we need to have a structure for sales. Sales is not just going in and winging it. You need to have a structure. And that structure, all you got to do is keep repeating it, keep repeating it, keep repeating it. And then the process will take care of the rest. You'll get more sales based on this structure. Now, I don't think that's so. I know it's so. I've been teaching my clients over 28 years on how to do this, and their sales have gone tremendously high based on that. So if you, there's a couple of things that, and people are waving at me and saying, hi guys, but if you like this video, if you think that there's some value here to it or whatever, go ahead and hit the like button on the side or the bottom or wherever it is on your computer or your phone. If you want to say something about it, you want to comment about it, go ahead and do that. You know, if that's something that you'd like to find out about or have some questions about or have some comments about it, go ahead and state that also. And if you really are big into this internet thing, you could share this too. Share it with your people that you may know, people who are sales people, small business owners, students. You know, these are people that really are out there in the world. But enrollment is in every aspect. You know, life is an enrollment game when you think about it. So everything in life is about enrollment. So the more that you're learning this and practicing this, the more life is going to show up to be how you want it to be. And I'll be doing these now once a week, and I'll let you know how and when. We're working on Thursdays probably at around noon Pacific time. And if you have any questions about it or not, then, you know, just you could email me or you could put the comments there. Again, I'm a success coach, so if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about how I've been able to help my clients over the last 28 years, go ahead and let me know. Contact me either by email or phone, however you want to get in touch with me. Or if you or someone you know would like to get into the coaching profession, this, again, I started this 28 plus years ago. I'm kind of a pioneer in this industry. There wasn't coaches when I started. Now they're all over the place. But if you want to, thank you, Ken, for sharing the video, by the way. And if you want to, this is cool, man. You get to see all kinds of things going on here. But if you want to find out about that too, let me know. It's a great profession. It's helped me over the last 28 years. And that website is ptcoachingacademy.com. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about it, it's ptcoachingacademy.com. And I love you too, honey. And if putting our life out here in the world, and the coaching program is powertechnology.org. All right. So, but most importantly, go out and practice these tools. Don't just have this be a nice half hour, however long we spent together. Go out and practice them. Put them into practice. Let them create for you more income than you made prior to this. And when you practice them, I promise you, you'll make more income when you promise it. And when you're making more income, it really means one thing. You're helping more people get their goals met. So go out and create that, and go out and create the life that you love. Thanks for being here.